How shall I begin? I'm going to keep today's short because I'm going to point you toward a wonderful interview between John Anderson, the former Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, and Professor Victor Davis Hanson. So I'm about to provide you 10 reasons why I'm an anti-socialist, add a thought or two on the matter, after which I'll direct you to this interview, in which they discuss the arrogance of the postmodern global elite who are placing the liberal-based world order at risk while pursuing ideological nonsense and on many fronts. The careless behaviour of the ruling elite belies their own ideology, even as they blame their own failings on the rest of us. So I'm going to give you 10 reasons why I despise social collectivism, otherwise known as socialism. And remember that Nazism, fascism, communism, and democratic socialism are merely versions of creating a society that marches in lockstep, where the state controls everything. So here's my 10 reasons that I'm an anti-socialist. Number 1, I'm temperamentally averse to marching in lockstep with others. Number 2, I cannot subscribe to an ideology which demands that I surrender my autonomy to the state. 3, I cannot subscribe to the premise that life is a zero-sum game. 4, I cannot ignore that socialism's primary doctrine is completely materialistic, since redistributing material wealth lies at the core of said doctrine. 5, I cannot ignore that making the state responsible for the redistribution of wealth has always, and in every instance, created a corrupt class of elites who profit unfairly from said redistribution while demonstrating utter disregard for public expenditure. 6, I cannot ignore the fact that socialism wages war on competence by promoting people based on ideology rather than based upon expertise and ability. 7, I cannot ignore the fact that socialists show more contempt for the successful and entrepreneurial than they demonstrate genuine sympathy for the dispossessed. 8, I cannot ignore the fact that the dispossessed fare far better in a free market economy with competition than in tightly regulated markets. Number 9, I cannot ignore the fact that socialism expands the size of the state and its control over us via an ever-expanding and wasteful bureaucracy, thereby robbing those who produce by giving resources to the non-productive. And 10, I cannot ignore the fact that socialism's essential juju is one of control, rather than of the much touted liberation that the ideology espouses. Socialism is therefore a materialistic denial of the spiritual, which has resulted in a rejection of the empirical, causing men to embrace the delusional. These are statements of fact, and they reveal to us why today chromosomes are no longer considered to define sexuality, and why people like me who believe in personal autonomy, individual accountability, and free markets are labeled as fascists by neo-totalitarians who normalize gender dysphoria and insist that the state controlling and regulating the economy to death is somehow anti-fascist. This, my dears, is the fulfillment of a mass formation of psychosis on full display for all to see. So in the clip that I'm posting, historian Professor Victor Davis Hanson describes a long tradition of elite ideologues who control the decisions of individuals. Hanson argues being grounded in reality by understanding the limits of human nature in a tragic world is a solution to being governed by utopian ideology. Victor Davis Hanson describes the moral hypocrisy of the elite left and how they use power and influence to control the middle and lower classes. This comes at a time when the wealthy pollute far more than the average citizen, but justify their actions anyway, while piling blame on everyone else. So the link to the video is attached below. Please follow it and enjoy this discussion, the discussion between Professor Hanson and John Anderson. I found it very to the point, succinct, and it covers all the bases of how the new wealthy elite are completely driven by ideology, and they don't care, literally they don't care, that their ideology results in the opposite, diametric opposite ends that they claim that the ideology ought to have, and that they only double down on their failed efforts. Have a great day, folks.